Elle a épuisé déjà un peintre avant vous.
Pourquoi refuse-t-elle d'être peinte?
Demain, vous sortirez avec moi?
Oui. Je ne sais pas.
Bonjour, folks. Today we are narrating the story of a female artist and her muse in the cinematic brilliance of the French film titled Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Pardonnez-moi, je n'aimerais pas être à votre place.
The film, as the name suggests, is a radiant canvas painted with the timeless tale of two women who aspire to accomplish a love that is forbidden and a free will that is off limits for the women of the 18th century French community.
Pour qui est-ce?
Pour moi.
So let us relish upon this visual feast of a film and seek artistic inspiration from the fiery French damsels and their life-altering distresses.
Vous aviez raison. J'ai peur.
The opening credits to the film are pretty enticing for art lovers, and then we meet our female lead, Marianne, played by Naomi Merland,
Regardez la position de mes bras.
who is herself playing a muse in the present for her art class.
Qui a mis là ce tableau?
A query about a certain exquisite painting, which has us completely mesmerized, folks, pulls Marianne down the rabbit hole of her memory and into the story of the portrait in question.
Quel en est le titre? Portrait de la jeune fille, en fait.
In the distant past, Marianne goes on a challenging sea voyage to an isolated island in Brittany to undertake a specifically peculiar assignment, the marriage portrait of young lady. There she meets Sophie, played by Luana Bajrami, a young housemaid who leaves her with a small talk and a cozy fire.
Vous êtes ici depuis longtemps? 3 ans.
These two are destined to become fast friends, so stay tuned, people.
C'est la première fois que ça t'arrive? Oui.
Marianne's arrival to the manor turns the mood of the film to be quite gothic and somber. The darkness of the manor as she goes for late-night food run. The mild bonding with Sophie as she inquires about the young lady.
Comment est votre jeune maîtresse? Je ne sais pas trop, je la connais peu.
She is called to paint, and especially the revelations about the life and nature of her painting model create an air of mystery and gloom that is here to stay for the major portion of the film.
Pas beaucoup de choix, il n'y a que celle-ci en vérité. Elle n'a pas encore de robe. Elle porte toujours ses vêtements du couvent.
Next, Marianne meets with La Comtesse, the lady of the house, played by Valeria Golino, and get to know why Marianne is chosen for the portrait of the young mistress.
Vous allez devoir la peindre sans qu'elle le sache. Elle pense que vous êtes une compagne de promenade pour quelques jours.
Marianne is presented with a difficult condition. Would she really be able to paint this mysterious rebel of a lady? At this point, the young lady becomes an enigma for Marianne and for us as well. But unlike us, Marianne is too focused an artist to be distracted, that is, until Sophie tells her about the sorrow that befell our young lady from the faceless portrait.
Je crois qu'elle a sauté. Parce qu'elle n'a pas crié.
From here onwards, the young lady's refusal to be painted and her strange behavior starts making absolute sense, folks. She is nursing a broken heart and fighting with the traumatic loss of an only sister. So just like Marianne, it terrifies us out of our wits as the little lady makes a sprint towards the edge of the cliff and in a heart-stopping moment makes a turn.
Ça fait des années que je rêve de faire ça. Mourir?
Thank heavens, as we meet Eloise, Adele Hannell, Our Lady on Fire, with a blazing entry, folks. Now begins the game of gaze, people. Marianne keeps stealing glances at Eloise to take in as much as possible for later so that she can paint her portrait.
Son ton de chair, même dans la lumière, doit céder en général à la lumière de la joue, qui est plus saillante.
The cinematography and direction of these sequences speaks volumes as Marianne's piercing gaze became familiar and Eloise became the object of appreciation for both the main lead and the audience.
C'est étrange que vous dormiez ici.
As Marianne goes through the contours and curvatures of her model, we are given fascinating lessons in artistic observation. Marianne continues her pretense of going on walks with Eloise and keeps her under strict observation without making her suspicious while coming back to work upon Eloise's portrait with only the memory of their time together to rely upon. But their time together brings them close to each other as Eloise starts to trust Marianne as a companion and a confidant.
Je sais que vous devez vous unir à un Milanais. C'est tout. C'est tout ce que j'en sais aussi.
Paintings that appear over the course of the film were created by painter Helen Delmere, and Naomi Merlant worked with her to achieve artistic insight for the character of Marianne, painting for 16 hours each day. That's some devotion to art, folks. Portrait of Lady on Fire gained the favor of many critics and journalists for Palme d'Or at the Cannes Festival in 2019, but lost to the Korean social masterpiece Parasite.
나도 봐. 공짜로 집안의 소득도 하고.
Marianne's secret observance bears fruit as she is able to complete Elios's portrait without her knowing. But now comes the moment of truth and Marianne becomes restless.
J'aimerais lui montrer d'abord. Et lui dire moi-même la vérité.
This scene visually represents her inner feelings when she sets the faceless portrait on fire. Finally, Marianne makes a confession to Elios.
Je suis venue pour vous peindre.
J'ai fini votre portrait hier soir.
And well, our blonde beauty is not pleased at all, folks, but both of them cannot resist the pull of their bond.
Vous vous sentiez coupable?
Eloise discusses her portrait with Marianne, claiming that her portrait is lifeless, lacking any familiarity to her true self, and her resignation makes Marianne doubt her artistic skills.
Vous me voyez comme ça?
Il y a des règles, des conventions, des idées.
Vous voulez dire qu'il n'y a pas de vie?
The film breaks away from the idea of a muse, who is a silent, fascinating woman who sparks the creativity of an artist simply because she is beautiful, by giving Eloise a critical opinion. The director, Céline Sciamma, makes a statement about a piece of art being a co-creation of both the artist and the model. A brilliant execution indeed. Long story short, the artist inside Marianne resolves to try again to satisfy her muse, and Helios becomes her partner in crime.
Je pars 5 jours. Quand je rentre, le tableau est fini.
Marianne and Eloise are left home alone with Sophie as they begin working on the new portrait. And for the next half of the film, we witness an unusual friendship blooming among these three ladies.
Il ne doit pas y avoir de fleurs.
Their first challenge together is to save Sophie from unwanted pregnancy, and they become comrades in pain and fear.
Ce serait suffisant.
Attendons de voir.
The scenes are emotionally quite overwhelming as Marianne and Eloise help Sophie out, taking care of her, bonding with each other over games, household chores and stories.
Père, qu'elle avait foulé du pied, lui a injecté son venin et l'a fait périr à la fleur de l'âge.
Going through a difficult abortion with her, and even commemorating her agony through art as an act of feminist solidarity, which is tragically beautiful in its execution.
Je vais la veiller. Je ne veux pas me coucher.
Marianne and Eloise also start to fall for each other while they work upon the portrait, and as their mutual affection becomes deeper, Marianne finds the missing smile in Eloise's portrait.
Vous posez à merveille. Voilà ce que je leur dis.
The bonfire scene is the highlight of this visually captivating film as Marianne and Helios find love on a moonlit night by the fire while the women chant a French song. Brownie point here. We also find out the inspiration behind Marianne's painting shown in the first scene. It's a magical moment, folks. Eloise's stance on life brilliantly reflects the lack of free will to the women of the French community in the 18th century, and the blatant disregard for life choices when it comes to women even in the contemporary world, especially in the case of marriage.
Et vous? Quand allez-vous vous marier?
On the other side is Marianne, an artist who has a freedom of choice and displays a fierce independence which is uncanny for the women of her age.
Je trouvais le couvent parfaitement injuste. Heureusement, je l'ai quitté après ma première communion.
Marianne represents everything that Eloise's cannot be in her life. Marianne is a wild symphony to Eloise's church hymns. She becomes the gateway to a new life with endless possibilities for Eloise.
J'ai senti dans la solitude la liberté dont vous parliez.
Marianne and Eloise's bliss is fleeting, and the film captures the impending fear of their separation in Marianne's ghostly visions. Also, the marriage portrait is almost finished, which seals the deal to their forbidden love.
On va détruire aussi celui-ci. Pourquoi?
The relationship between Marianne and Eloise changed remarkably throughout the progression of the film, as they are first introduced to each other as an artist and muse, but then they become equal partners in art and passion.
Faites comme ça avec votre main. Vraiment.
Unfortunately, though, their affair remains a clandestine one, and they are eventually struck with reality, having a major fallout.
Nous y voilà. Vous me trouvez docile? Pire?
Marianne's always been a rebel. She is an anomaly to the women of her society. But Helios is a conformist, and marriage for her is inevitable. It's hard to pick sides here, folks.
Vous préférez que je résiste?
Oui.
Vous me le demandez?
The climax of the film is again marvelously executed with sensational cinematography, as both the women prepare themselves to part ways and face the emotional trauma. Both the actresses have done a remarkable job portraying their characters and reflecting the cost of love and freedom for women in a world ruled by societal convictions.
Quand vous m'avez demandé si j'avais déjà aimé, j'ai senti que la réponse était oui.
As she bids farewell to Sophie and her vision in white bride Eloise, Marianne runs away from the place that brought friendship and love to her barren life. In the present, Marianne goes through her self-portraits and realizes that she is left with fond memories to cherish for a lifetime, as the story of the portrait of a lady on fire comes to a close. We recommend this artistic masterpiece to all the emerging artists and seasoned art lovers. This film is a delicacy for all the ladies in the house, as it has strong feminist streak to it with splendid cinematography to take your breath away. Stay tuned for our next pick. Thank you for watching.